Hello everyone. Did you know that a hidden toxin growing silently on stored grains and nuts could be one of the leading causes of liver cancer worldwide? Today we are going to explore aflatoxicosis, understanding the molecular mechanisms, the clinical outcomes, and the public health impact of this silent dietary threat. Let us begin with the story of how this threat was first discovered. In the year 1960, the first known outbreak occurred in England and it was termed Turkey X disease. The initial victims were young turkeys which suffered fatal hepatitis and inflammation of the intestines. And around the same time, rainbow trout in fish farms developed aggressive cancer. The revelation came when both outbreaks were traced back to contaminated feed, specifically groundnut and cottonseed meals that had been stored in high humidity conditions. The cause was not an infection at all, but toxic compounds called mycotoxins, produced by a contaminating mold. The scale of this problem globally is staggering. Around 4.5 billion people in developing countries are exposed to substantial levels of dietary aflatoxin. Between 4.6% and 28.2% of total global cases of hepatocellular carcinoma, which is liver cancer, are strictly attributed to aflatoxin exposure. And in cases of high dose acute aflatoxicosis, the estimated mortality rate is around 25%. A pivotal historical crisis that anchors this issue is the 1975 India outbreak, which occurred in the Banswara and Panchmahal districts of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Over 400 cases of severe aflatoxin poisoning were recorded, resulting in 100 deaths. This event permanently established aflatoxicosis as a massive systemic public health threat requiring aggressive agricultural intervention. So, how does this contamination actually happen? It requires the coming together of three key factors. The first is the pathogens, toxigenic strains of storage fungi, primarily Aspergillus flavus, Aspergillus parasiticus, and Emericella teleomorphs, which naturally grow in soil, hay, and decaying vegetation. The second is the climate, specifically high ambient temperatures ranging precisely between 30 and 37 degrees Celsius. The third is stressors, which include moisture levels exceeding 16%, high humidity, severe drought, or pre-existing insect damage to the crop. When all three of these factors converge, it creates what is called the toxic bloom, the perfect storm allowing fungi to infect crops during growth or to accumulate massive contamination during storage and transport. Now, let us understand the toxins themselves. Aflatoxin B1 is the most potent known natural hepatocarcinogen, classified as a Group 1 human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, and it is highly mutagenic. When the liver metabolizes this toxin, it produces aflatoxin M1 and M2, which are classified as Group 2B human carcinogens. These are toxic metabolites formed when an infected liver processes the primary toxin, and they are highly transmissible through milk. There are also secondary toxins known as Aflatoxins B2, G1, and G2, which were historically named for their blue or green fluorescence under ultraviolet light. There are two major pathways through which humans get exposed to these toxins. The first is direct crop contamination, which affects approximately 25% of the world's crops, including grains and seeds like maize, sorghum, parboiled rice, wheat, millet, sesame, sunflower, and cottonseed, as well as nuts and legumes like groundnut, tree nuts, and soya, and other crops like cassava, chili pepper, spices, and figs. The second pathway is secondary animal transmission, where contaminated feed is consumed by livestock. The toxins undergo hepatic metabolism, converting aflatoxin B1 into aflatoxin M1, and these toxins then pass into the human food chain through milk, cheese, eggs, and meat. Let us now look at the pathophysiology, or how this toxin actually damages the body. The process begins with hepatic entry, where aflatoxin B1 is ingested and directed straight to the liver. Next comes CYP450 activation, where the toxin is metabolized by microsomal mixed function oxidase enzymes. This activation can lead down three different paths. The first and most dangerous path creates a highly reactive intermediate called the 8,9 epoxide, which directly leads to cellular dysregulation and DNA mutation. The second is a detoxification pathway where hydroxylation converts the toxin into less toxic nonpolar metabolites like aflatoxin M1 and Q1. The third is an excretion pathway involving dialdehyde formation, which is excreted in urine as dial alcohol or bound to serum albumin. This brings us to the molecular mechanism of how cancer actually develops. First, intercalation occurs, where the reactive epoxide intermediate inserts itself into the DNA strand and alkylates the bases. Second, this directly causes a very specific mutation, a G to T transversion at codon 249 of the p53 tumor suppressor gene. Third, cellular sabotage takes place, where this mutated p53 gene loses its ability to halt cell cycle progression or to signal for programmed cell death in response to DNA damage. Fourth, the result is unchecked cellular proliferation, guaranteeing cumulative and irreversible cancer risk. Researchers are also investigating alternative pathways, including PGH2 synthase, lipid peroxidase, and reactive oxygen species mediated oxidative stress through glutathione depletion. The liver damage itself progresses through three distinct stages. Stage 1 is acute damage, characterized by fatty change in liver cells, acute hemorrhagic necrosis, and bile duct proliferation. Stage 2 is chronic distortion, involving severe distortion of the liver's architecture, widespread nodular degeneration, and progressive fibrosis leading to cirrhosis. Stage 3 is hepatocellular carcinoma itself, presenting as well vascularized tumors with white trabeculae, small cell changes, and vascular invasion. A prominent acinar pattern with atypia, high mitotic activity, and a notable absence of Kupffer cells. Clinically, Aflatoxicosis presents in two very different forms. Acute toxicity is triggered by a high level dose consumed in a very short time. It has a broad impact but shows exceptionally high mortality in children. Systemic presentation includes fever, nausea, vomiting, lethargy, mental changes, jaundice or yellowing of the skin and eyes, and severe itching. Critical endpoints include bleeding disorders, malabsorption, convulsions, coma, fulminant liver failure, muscle breakdown, and death. Chronic toxicity, on the other hand, is triggered by sublethal doses consumed over a prolonged period. In children, this leads to severe malnutrition, irreversible growth stunting, and developmental delays. Systemic presentation includes severe immunosuppression, and in pregnant women, maternal complications including preterm birth and late-term miscarriage. The oncological endpoints of chronic exposure are liver cirrhosis, gallbladder carcinoma, and hepatocellular carcinoma, marked by an abdominal mass and psychosis. Detecting this contamination happens at two levels. Evaluating the source involves testing food and feed using thin layer chromatography, high performance liquid chromatography, liquid chromatography mass spectroscopy, and enzyme linked immune sorbent assay known as ELISA. Evaluating the patient involves tracing clinical biomarkers using ELISA specifically to test for AFB1 lysine, a metabolite of aflatoxin B1, in the patient's blood, along with a detailed dietary history and community cluster investigations to locate the contaminated agricultural source. There are two main time frames for detecting exposure in the body. Short-term detection, covering the past 24 hours, uses the biomarker AFB guanine adduct, found in urine specimens. This is frequently detected in cases of infantile cirrhosis. but because it has a variable half-life that fluctuates with recent diet, it is not ideal for assessing long-term chronic exposure. Long-term detection, covering extended periods, uses the biomarker AFB albumin adduct found in blood serum. This is highly reliable for mapping prolonged chronic dietary exposure to aflatoxins, providing a stable historical record of toxicity. Clinical assessment of liver involvement relies on three approaches. Laboratory panels include liver function tests such as prothrombin time, international normalized ratio, activated partial thromboplastin time, albumin and bilirubin levels, and AST and ALT enzymes, along with systemic panels like a basic metabolic panel, complete blood count, and renal function tests. Imaging modalities include ultrasonography and computed tomography, with the primary objective of assessing architectural distortion, nodular degeneration, and the presence of tumors in the liver. There are also modifying variables that influence toxicity, including pre existing viral infections like hepatitis B and hepatitis C, and dietary intake of antioxidant vitamins like vitamins A, C, and E, which can influence baseline toxicity levels. Since aflatoxicosis can mimic other conditions, differential diagnosis becomes important to rule out clinical mimics. This includes drug intoxication from substances like acetaminophen, tetracycline, halothane, isoniazid, and ecstasy. Toxicological causes like Amanita mushroom poisoning. Infectious pathogens like viral hepatitis strains A, B, C, D, and E, cytomegalovirus, and Epstein-Barr virus. Immunological causes like autoimmune hepatitis, and metabolic and vascular causes like alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, Wilson disease, and veno-occlusive diseases. When it comes to treatment, there is no known antidote for aflatoxicosis, and management rests on three pillars. Pillar 1 is source eradication, involving immediate identification and total removal of contaminated food or feed, with complete replacement using a verified uncontaminated food source to halt further poisoning. Pillar 2 is symptomatic control, involving aggressive supportive management of acute symptoms like fever, nausea, vomiting, and convulsions, while meeting optimal dietary requirements through targeted supplementation to aid physiological recovery. Pillar 3 is critical care escalation, involving mandatory early recognition of acute liver failure and immediate transfer of the patient to a specialized critical care setting for advanced life support. For patients who progress to hepatocellular carcinoma, oncological interventions become necessary. Surgical options include surgical resection, resection combined with ablation, and orthotopic liver transplantation. Ablative options include thermal ablation and percutaneous alcohol or ethanol injection. Embolization and radiotherapy options include transarterial embolization, chemoembolization, systemic chemotherapy combined with radioembolization, and localized radiotherapy. Since there is no cure, breaking the cycle through post-harvest control becomes the most important defense. Rigorous post-harvest drying is the single most critical factor, and moisture content must be strictly maintained below 10% to prevent reaching the 16% threshold that triggers fungal growth. If food grains are positively identified as contaminated, they must undergo total condemnation, being entirely removed from both human and animal consumption chains. Alongside this, public health education is essential, deploying campaigns to educate local populations on the severe health hazards of consuming visually contaminated or improperly stored food grains. So, to summarize the salient features of this topic, Aflatoxin B1 stands as the apex toxin, a group 1 carcinogen, and the most potent natural hepatocarcinogen known, initiating severe DNA damage through the specific p53 gene mutation. The liver bears the absolute brunt of this toxicity, with the clinical timeline relentlessly progressing from acute hemorrhagic necrosis to severe cirrhosis and aggressive hepatocellular carcinoma. Children suffer disproportionately worldwide, facing exceptionally high mortality rates from acute doses and severe growth stunting and developmental delays from chronic low level exposure. And finally, prevention truly is better than cure here, since there is no known medical antidote for acute poisoning, and hepatocellular carcinoma carries immense mortality. Rigorous agricultural moisture control below 10% remains the only effective global defense mechanism. Hope you have understood about the topic Aflatoxicosis, the molecular mechanisms, clinical outcomes, and public health impact of a silent dietary threat. If you found this video useful, please like and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.